Good. So, dear colleagues, I'm going to talk in English right now. My name is Varga Aleksa Melita. I teach here on the Faculty of Humanities and Social Sciences in Eszék on the German department. So I was asked, to deliver this lecture in English language. I wrote it with my student, Hrvoje Vlainić, who could not attend here this conference. So I'm going to present part of his MA thesis and the work that we have done in the meantime. Thank you very much, for this invitation. I have to say that this lecture is going to be like a summary of what the colleagues already said from Budapest, and actually I want to present here a case study because we don't have much time here. It means that we did some research into machine translations from German into Croatian language. So, we basically want to present part of our research and part of our study. First, I'm going to tell you something about the terms and the definition of terms. I'm going to be using here in the presentation. Then I'm going to talk a little bit about the brief history of machine translation. I'm going to present you a model analysis of the machine translation of a German legal text. Actually, we were doing our research in the legal text from the European Union, and since it is the case study, I'm going to also present an outlook or the possibilities of further analyses. First, in the definition of terms, what our colleagues already told us, there are several terms that are being used nowadays in the computer-assisted or the machine translation. So the first is the computer-aided translation, or the CAT, often referred to as machine-aided translation by software engineers and specialists. Then we have a different aspect is the machine-aided human translation, which is the abbreviation of MAHT. And for those who are not acquainted with the topic, those translation systems are computer-assisted translation systems. That is, it is a kind of automatic translation that cannot take place without human intervention. That's why the colleagues were talking about the the editing phase, actually about the things that cannot be taken for granted, but they require human intervention. Human assisted machine translation is often shortened in works as machine translation, but this is not the equivalent of what we are doing here in this presentation. The main accepted distinction between the machine translation and the CAT tools is actually in the responsibility of the actual translation. That is, but the translation itself is only the machine output, which is delivered by a computer software or an application. It can be regarded as a machine translation as well, or by a human translator who has been using different software to deliver the translation, such as the electronic dictionaries, databases, and translation memory systems. In the course of this paper and the presentations, we are going to be using the term machine translation as a part of the automated translation. In the paper, we are going to discuss the linguistic challenges that the machine translation tools have been facing when translating legal text of the European Union. As you know, this presentation is part of a huger project that we are doing with our a Faculty of Law here in Eszék, and in the course of this paper, project, we are dealing with the translation of legal texts and the parallel corpora. So actually, we were using these legal texts because they have, as a reference, a human translation. And that is why actually we compared the machine outputs that have been translated the text, and as a reference point, we compare them to the okay, human translation. We found these text corpora and the basis of the text corpora in the okay tool sketch engine. So these texts okay that we took were part of the EuroLex okay legal corpora. The evaluation of the machine translation is done from the linguistic viewpoint. That's why okay I'm not going to discuss here okay this the models and the neural okay models that have been going on in the background, but we are going to do the evaluation from the linguistic or from the translation studies viewpoint. Why we chose this to do this case study? It says, sorry, it's German to Croatian should be here written. We chose these two languages because as you can know, the English and Croatian translation has been regarded as rather good ones, and in the last decades we wanted to see okay how the translation from a Germanic language to a Slavic language, that is from a non-English language, has developed in the last 10 years. In the next part, I'm going to give you a brief history of machine translation and the challenges throughout the history in order to exemplify the okay, results of our study. As you already probably know, but some of you may not know, the machine translation actually can be traced to the 17th century when there were some ideas of creating mechanical devices which would help to overcome linguistic obstacles when translating from Latin. Consequently, in the 19th century, George Boole invented the mechanical calculator, which was being used in the process of coding and decoding, followed by the French and okay, Russian inventors who obtained patents for their translation machines independently of one another, which were being used for composing mechanical dictionaries. In 1946, Andrew Dolan Booth and Warren Weaver developed the first computer-driven translation system based on dictionary comparison. And later in 1948, there was a newer version of the system, which also had other functions, but actually it was a word-for-word translation, which but it was also able to carry out a syntactic analysis. In 1949, there were also significant developments in the machine translation systems through the Weaver Memorandum, but this year is very important because there were several research groups established which are okay, very known nowadays, like the MIT at the University of California. In 1951, okay, we have Bar Hiller, who was named as the first scientist in the field of machine translation. And in the 1954, we got the first machine translation of 49 sentences from Russian into English. What is more important and more interesting are the different research projects which were dealing with okay, machine translations in 1955 and 56, which were being put to hold until the first contemporary advances in 1970s in Japan, and from the 1980s, this research got a very faster term, and the machine translation systems are now based on corpuses and artificial intelligence methods. What we did here is we did in our case study, we took some German legal text samples which were available through the tool sketch engine, and the texts are part of the parallel corpora the EuroLex, and we had this human translation as a reference text. What we actually did is we took the two most popular translation tools in Croatia, which are Google Translate and Bing Translator. So we just thought of comparing these two in our case study and to see how they can deal with the legal text from the corpora. As you can see here, what the colleagues from Budapest already talked about, the machine translation system, when translating the text, we have some different output, and then we do the denotation of errors. The text goes from the source language into the the system, but we also have the translation, the human translation as a reference translation. We didn't use the post editing phase here. We just looked at the analysis of errors in this machine translation output. The categories of categorizing the errors were taken from Kirchhoff and his paper in 2012, where we actually did this two-level the analysis. In the first level, we counted the missing words, the extra words, the word order, morphology, word sense error, punctuation, spelling, capitalization, the things that were untranslated, the pragmatics, diacritics, and other things. And on the second level, we take a look into the actual the type of the errors. So from the missing words, we just extracted the content words, the function words. The word order, was it perhaps the local range or the long range? The morphology errors were there of the verbal type, sort, or the nominal type, etc., etc. I'm going to present to you now just an excerpt from our analysis and a part of the translation. So in this dark blue part of the table, you can see the original text from the German corpus. This is the human translation as a reference point, and this here is a direct translation from the Google Translate and from the Bing Translator. As we can see here in the Google Translate, didn't skip any words. Bing Translator skipped one content word, which was omitted, sklopljenih. And consequently, the meaning was also altered and changed. Because the sklopljenih was meant to be about the contract, which were contracted. Then we had here the extra words which were inserted. Google inserted one function word. It is the preposition u, and one content word which has been added to the last sentence. I have to say that both of the translations were meaningful. They were syntactically almost perfect. So actually these content words which were inserted actually enhanced the translation itself. The human translation wasn't the perfect one either, so that's why actually we did some differences compared to the human translation. The word order was impeccable, both at the Google Translate and at the Bing Translator. The morphology errors, Google made a nominal morphology error because he didn't inflect this zaštita. It is a noun, and actually it was the name of the treaty, I think, or something. And it used a different preposition and case u direktivi vijeća than a human translation. The Bing Translator also did some morphology errors at the nominal level. The other levels encountered are the word sense levels, the capitalization where it shouldn't have been capitalized. On the pragmatical level, I just, we categorize these errors as the usage of passive form of verbs instead of the active form, and the other words used in the human translation. Both of the translator used this phrase here, u slučaju ugovora, which is actually a better solution than the human translation, which was used as a reference point. To sum up, we can see that the Google Translation translator made more errors overall as Bing. Bing is much closer to the human translation. However, we cannot claim that the human translation was also the perfect one. And by inserting extra words, the Google made the translation closer to the source text. And the solution in 12, as I pointed here out, provided by both Google and Bing, seem more appropriate than a human translation. The possibilities of further analysis out of this case study, it is evident that Google Translate and Big Translator have proved the significant reliability on the sample of legal text tested, and that showed immense progress since in the last decades from a Germanic to a Slavic language. And the next step in testing the machine translation tools will be to test the human-aided machine translation tools before and after the post-editing phase, and then in-depth analysis according to the model of multi-dimensional quality metrics, which we found as the most suitable one for the analysis of legal text. So thank you for your attention. I will be glad to reply any of your questions later, and in case, okay, I have provided here also my email address.